Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is 1:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to apologize that we are 1 hour late. This was supposed to start at noon Central Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but due to some unforeseen contingencies, I had to take care of something, and I'm glad we are here. Last week, this broadcast was supposed to be on last week, and technical issues put us away. But I'm glad we finally are there today. And our topic for today, unusual Saturday, we're going to be discussing something out of the blues, the National Veterans Tournament USA. National Veterans Tournament. It is called NVT. That's all you get. But again, it's not just about the organization. It's also because it's about men, soccer. Cameroon is a great soccer nation. At least they used to be in the 90s. I don't know anything about the team currently, but Cameroonians are very, very passionate about soccer. They love soccer. They want to play, enjoy, and very competitive. And so it's not by any accident that Cameroonians in the United States decided to come together, form different veteran clubs, and all of a sudden we find that they are now having a national tournament. We're going to learn about the tournament. We're going to learn about the new president, Mr. Charles Yakum, and I need to do a public disclosure. Charles and I went to Sacred Heart College, Mancon. I think it was 1 year ahead of me, if I'm not mistaken. So that doesn't mean I can't be objective. I'm going to be very objective. But I want to thank Michelle Charles for coming on. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity. And again, let's discuss about this thing. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into it.
All right. Thank you, Michelle Baum, and thank you for having me on your platform. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk a little bit about NVT. So, if you want to know a little bit about myself first, so yes, Charles Yakum, like you alluded to, I went to secondary and high school in Banenda in Sacred Heart College. So I spent 7 years in Sacred Heart. And then upon finishing from Sacred Heart in 1990, that tells you how old I am. In 1990, at that time, the Cameroonian scholarships were still in play. So I earned a scholarship to go and study telecommunications in England. And I ended up landing in Liverpool, where I studied, and at that time was very passionate about the Liverpool football club, and I'm still a die-hard supporter of Liverpool Football Club today. So from there, I spent 7.5 years in Liverpool, did a bachelor's degree in engineering, electrical engineering and electronics, with a little focus on telecommunications, and then also moved on to do a PhD in electronics and electrical engineering. And then after finishing that, after a few struggles in England, with difficulties, to settle, I earned employment here in the United States, and I moved over in the early 1998. And so since early 1998, I've been in the United States, working in the wireless telecoms field. Started off in California, worked in Mexico, I've worked in New York, Atlanta, Dallas, Texas, and work principally with two employers. Currently, I work for a company which some of you may know. It's called Ericsson. And Ericsson is involved with wireless telecommunications. We provide the equipment and services that the likes of AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and you name it, they take advantage of, including the likes of MTN and Orange that serve a lot of African countries. I'm also married with 5 daughters. One who is actually also married, and I'm a granddad because she has a son. And then I have 3 girls in college, and then the last one at home. I think maybe I'll leave it there about myself, unless there's anything specific that you want to hear.
So that is quite exciting. We all claim that we don't have time in the United States. that's an impressive career. I mean, I just want to give a plug in because we just finished the Sacred Heart Ex-Students Association in the US convention 2 weeks ago, I think. And so I really wanted to dive a little bit into that before I come to the National Veterans Tournament.
Sure.
Again, what is the connection between Sacred Heart and your love for sports? And unfortunately, I'm a Manchester United fan, so I don't know about Liverpool.
Oh, well, so with that, you and I will not see eye to eye, being a Manchester United fan. So there is a big connection between my love for soccer, or football, as we all call it, and having gone to Sacred Heart. Obviously, I mean, I was a lover of football before going into Sacred Heart. I used to play when I was in primary school. But Sacred Heart really instilled that love for soccer much more, or that love for, let's continue to call it football, that love for football much more into me. Because, you know, I went into Form 1 in Sacred Heart and discovered that, you know, I can play football every single day except for Monday, which we had for manual labor. So every day at 4:30 p.m., I will be in front of the vice principal's building to collect a ball to go play. And that was highly encouraged in Sacred Heart. So I really loved the push for sports in Sacred Heart. And for me, as somebody who enjoyed playing soccer, I carried on playing that, and it also actually enhanced my academic performance. Because for me, every day I go and play soccer from, say, 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. I leave from there, go take a shower, go have dinner, and then we go for preps. It almost seems to me like everything I read just sinks. So, you know, it was something that Sacred Heart encouraged, and it instilled that love, or it enhanced that love in me. I also played for Sacred Heart cadet school team. At that time, I was in Form 3. We actually, you know, won the cadet cup in Bamenda. We played in the Bamenda Stadium against GBHS. And at that time, I was still playing soccer for the school at that time. So we won that game. And then the following year, during one of our games between Sacred Heart and Longla Comprehensive College, I got hurt, which kind of lasted through my remainder of time in Sacred Heart, so I never had to play again. But I kind of went back into playing when I went into Liverpool University, and carried on with that spirit of playing. And that took me to today here, where I'm still playing with, you know, a veterans team. This morning, we had about an hour, 30 minutes of playing with my team, Allen Veterans Football Club here in Texas. But Sacred Heart in itself, you know, going back to that, it's a school, or, you know, an institution that encourage sports besides the academics. There are a lot of people that never saw the four walls of Sacred Heart, but believe that over in Sacred Heart, everything they focus on is academics. Because when they see the results, they said, oh, wow, these guys are only studying. But there's a whole lot that goes on in Sacred Heart. And I say today that, and I tell my wife that all the time, that I'm really who I am today because of Sacred Heart, the foundation that you know, they built for me. Because the decision for me to go to Sacred Heart actually came a week before school reopened. I was supposed to go to bilingual grammar school, Moliko, Lycée Bilingue Moliko. At that point, my father was the governor of the Southwest. So that summer, he got transferred to the North. And then the decision was made for me to go to Sacred Heart, which you know, I will forever thank that decision making that was made at that time. So Sacred Heart is a great school. I love the spirit that it instilled in me, and it's still shining on me today.
So thank you very much, Mr. Yakum. And again, the danger of people thinking that Sacred Heart is all about academics is, you know, all you go in, they drill you on how preparing for the GC.
Yes.
Too much that goes in. I mean, I never played anything. I spent my time trying to be a good referee. That's all I could excel in. I think that's also part of the game. But
Exactly.
you see how, I mean, I'm so impressed by the trajectory that took, isn't it? And just speak a little bit as to the competitiveness of Sacred Heart with other schools around, because again, academics, Sacred Heart was top. There were also, when it came to sports, soccer, name it. We even used to beat people, Senajes and all those people. What was your experiences during that period?
Oh yeah, my experiences were great. So when I went into Form 1, for example, one of our teachers, Mr. Folu Wilson, we popularly call him Tom Foot, was playing for PWD, Bamenda. And he would let us go into the stadium most of the time to watch a lot of their games. And to the point that you made, teams like Natural Comprehensive team, school team, Senator school team, I mean, these were teams that had first division players or first division team players playing for the schools. So, but Sacred Heart will go to the stadium and beat these teams, which had to do with the team cohesiveness, the training, and the guys went out there determined to make it happen. When I was actually in Form 1, my elder brother Eugene Yakum was number 5 in the school team, and that team was formidable. Him and Mensa were the central defenders, and that team was formidable. And they would beat Cas Bambili, they would beat Senajes, they would beat Natural Comprehensive College, which were the tough teams at that time. And besides that, the ambience that used to go around Sacred Heart, when we go into the stadium, the jerseys that we will wear, and there was a lot of ambience around that. We would just come, do our thing, and then go back. But Sacred Heart, did very well. Like I said, during the first cadet competition, we actually won the cup, and I'm glad I was part of the team that played that in the stadium. Later on, I'm not sure how Sacred Heart, continued performing ever since I left Sacred Heart. I've not followed that, but based on our last convention, it seems to me like sports have been, downgraded in terms of priority in Sacred Heart, which is one thing that I think needs to be revisited, because it's a very, very important thing in the well-being and progress of students. So I'm glad that that was discussed at length, during the, I think there was one session that you actually chaired. You chaired that session with a number of sessions discussing and providing their inputs as to what should be done. I think that's a great thing to revisit that and take it to the old days where sport was given a very, very top priority.
Yeah, one of the things that frustrated me during that period was, I'm talking about the convention, was the fact that I saw Shesans who benefited from scholarships just because they played soccer. And Michel Ernest Ita, for example, shared his experience. And I think this brings us to what we are actually here to talk about today, which is a National Veterans Tournament. Mm-hmm. Again, it seems as if the one thing that keeps uniting us, in spite of the many differences that we have, from Cameroon, is soccer. Politics have succeeded to divide us so much, mm-hmm. and for obvious reasons, and unapologetic Ambazonian. Okay, so but the one thing that we put aside and come together to do is this soccer. And I'm wondering, in a country where we all are very busy, people 2-3 jobs and all that, what is it that is driving this National Veterans Tournament? That's a second tier question. But looking at you, for example, you are a professional, mm-hmm. and I don't know why you failed to mention that you have a PhD. Did I have that wrong?
I do have. I have a PhD in electronics and electrical engineering, yes.
So we should be calling you Dr. Yakum. So
it's fine. Any way you call me is fine.
Yeah. But where do you have how do you balance? So again, within the context even of COVID, there's so much talk about work, work-family life balance and all that stuff. How do you get motivated to do this, that you get time to play soccer and all that?
Yes. So, like you clearly stated, right? We're in an environment where it's very, very challenging to get time to do anything, given, very busy work schedules, very busy family lives. But, it has to do with the passion that people have for soccer. And like you said, the one thing that will unite us Cameroonians is football or soccer. So, and when you grew up in an environment where you played the game and you enjoyed playing the game, it's very, very difficult to stop. I do see a lot of people who used to play, and maybe for injury or for various reasons, they're not playing today. But the bottom line is that it gets to a point where you sit and determine that, okay, do I just completely get busy with work and family life and not find time out to do some exercise, do some sports that I enjoy? And you eventually come to the conclusion that you need to actually find time, prioritize it, because not only do you enjoy doing it, it's also good for your health. So, and we're in a country where people go for consultation, medical consultation, do yearly physicals. And during those physicals, most physicians would advise them to make sure they are exercising. My company, for example, have been pushing very, very hard on exercising, even though I was already so much involved with doing exercise. So, but my company encourages that, and I assume a lot of other, people in corporate America and other organizations are getting the same encouragement from their employers, because when you have healthy employees, that will help enhance your productivity instead of having employees who will fall sick every so often. And doing exercise and getting engaged in sports is one of the medicines in life. It's often said, exercise is one of the medicines in life. In fact, we had a webinar 2 weeks ago at work where the title was Exercise as a Medicine. And it clearly, indicated the benefits of doing exercise. So yes, people are very busy, but what I've realized, since from our founding of the veterans team here in Ireland, and talking to other folks who are part and parcel of this national organization, there is a lot of love for the soccer. And it's also used as a social gathering, because there are various teams who will go and play, then hang out, discuss. So it's a time to wind down. It's a time to distress. And so people find value in actually doing that. And it's important for people to truly do a work-life balance, and not just balance between work and life being family. In the life, you have to incorporate, some form of sport, some form of exercise, some form of activities that will help maintain good health. So I think, despite the fact that, people are very busy, I think people need to make it a priority to spend time exercising, spend time doing things that will enhance their well-being.
So what is the National Veterans Tournament in the United States?
So the National Veterans Tournament, and the official name is, abbreviated NVT-USA-FA, which stands for National Veterans Tournament USA Football Association. And it is basically an organization that is constituted by various veterans teams across the United States. And, we do have various teams that are currently organized, as veterans team playing within their city and their state. And so, and this was happening before the NVT, or National Veterans Tournament, was created, so to speak. So different veterans teams were playing in different places. But at some point, a few tournaments started happening between, teams from one city or one state playing against teams in another city or state. So for example, when we founded Ireland Veterans Football Club, which I am a member of, we had visits from, Atlanta veterans. We had visits from Veterans Football Club Maryland to come and encourage us, and kind of pretty much encourage us to grow our organization and grow our veterans club. So at that point in time, we then got wind of the National Veterans Tournament, which arguably started sometime in Maryland in 2015, but officially really started in 2016 in Atlanta. And during that time, then we took part as Ireland veterans. We took part in that tournament. So National Veterans Tournament USA Football Association is an organization, it's an umbrella organization that consists of various veteran clubs in different cities, different states across the United States and Canada. Let me not exclude Canada, because Montreal veterans team is part and parcel of our NVT. So it's really across the United States and Canada. And currently we have as of the last tournament, there were 28 teams that participated in the tournament. And the rule is that we were going to add at most 4 more teams to get to a total of 32. There are already teams on the waiting list to meet that cap of 32. And when 2022 NVT will come up in Maryland, there will be 32 teams. And again, it's constituted by various veteran teams from different cities, different states, starting from New England, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Atlanta, Charlotte, Ohio, Minnesota, Chicago, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Houston, San Antonio, and Colorado. I mean, it covers the United States, and we're hoping that a team will soon come from the West Coast, as in California, the almighty California. That's our hope. But so far, no indication yet.
So I think it's possible to say that the term veterans is being used quite loosely in terms of the fact that yes, I can consider you a veteran because at least I watched you play soccer. You are of a certain age. Mm-hmm. But when I look around the veterans or the teams that participated, it seems as if it's not real. Veterans is just loosely used. What is there no age limit to that? Because again, I heard some stories about some young boys some Ghanaians who were brought in, by different teams.
That's correct. That's a very good point. I'm glad that you brought up that question. So our constitution states that every player must be 35 years and above in age. So the expectation, was that at the age of 35 and above, most people will retire from playing soccer. I mean, professionally, so to speak. So veterans then, could be from 35 and above. Of course, we have, the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo at 30, I think 6 or so, still playing today. But anyway, for our NVT, the constitution states that every single player must be 35 years and above, or 35 years in order to play. So that is the rule, but I can tell you that that's one area where we have been failing. Teams come with a lot of desire to win and have been twisting the rules. Teams have been trying to pull in players who are under 35. And, I'm not going to point finger to specific teams because I think most of the teams are guilty of bringing players that are quote unquote underage based on the rules of NVT. And that is the biggest problem we have today. Either those players come in with fake identification, because we do verify identification, but people have gone around to find smart ways to beat the system. And so they'll bring players that are underage and try to prove that they are above 35 based on the identification that they brought. And so as far as my coming into the National Veterans Tournament as the president, one of my biggest goals, based on the calls I have received since being elected, and I saw that personally as well, and I've witnessed that since, Atlanta, through us hosting here in Dallas, and Oklahoma City, Delaware hosting, and then finally Houston just this past, Labor Day weekend. It is very clear that we need to change that. And I'm very determined. If I will achieve anything, I will eradicate that whole idea where non-veterans are depriving the true veterans and coming to this tournament and playing. I mean, you find a lot of veterans are sitting on the bench and young folks are playing, but playing under the pretext that they are veterans and that they are IDs to prove that they are veterans. So I'm very determined to stamp that out, and I'm going to make sure that I eradicate that fraud. And I'm going to be looking to the individual club team presidents, because it starts with everyone. If you make a decision in your club that you're not going to fill an underage player, you're not going to go out there and make a fake identification to come and put that player in the field, then, once you make that and make sure you police that within your team, that's the first step. Of course, there are additional steps that I'm going to ensure that we put in place, but I'm going to be tasking each team president to ensure they start off making sure in their club, I'll hold them accountable, I'll hold them responsible if a player is found from their team that is underage. And we're also going to be tabling some rules to be included in the constitution to outright dismiss teams that feel an underage player, and not kind of just disqualify them for that competition, but maybe completely ban them for 2, 3, or however many years we will decide. But something, a punishment that's a deterrent must be put in place in order to stop our people cheating. And it's not even, people spend more money trying to bring underage players than what they will get out of the trophy. But it's all about the bragging rights. I know it's all about the bragging rights, but we can do better. We are better than this. And I'm very determined to wipe that whole thing out, to make sure veterans are participating in this tournament.
So the issue you're going to face is that this is Cameroon outside Cameroon. And it seems as if we have left Cameroon and Cameroon has not left us.
Very true.
Because, again, it's a perennial problem in soccer across Africa, whereby, you find players who are, younger than their own kids.
That's right.
And I think, again, I applaud your courage and I wish you the best, but I don't know how that is going to be, because somehow it might actually take away from the fun. And I love it because you said, again, bragging rights. Yes. That's what people are really fighting for. And it's quite intense. I mean, I live in Maryland. There are at least 3 or 4 veteran teams from Maryland that I know.
Three teams participated, yes.
Yes, and the competition is always fierce, intense. Yes. Mm-hmm. But I think it's self-defeating in a sense, because it's meant to be for a certain age group, and yet the people who are within that age group, they want to get some people in just for bragging rights. And so it needs a mindset change, a cultural mindset change.
Correct.
This is meant for us. I mean, let me take you on a different trajectory, because now
and if I may comment on that, I appreciate you wishing me luck on that, and because I do know what our people are made up of. And I'm not going to just count on the team presidents policing their teams to ensure they bring the right player. There are going to be multiple layers of steps in the process to ensure that that happens. Because, yes, like you said, you can entrust or demand this from the team presidents, but some will still go and twist this. So, but it's going to start off with them, but there are multiple steps we're going to put in place. I really don't have the blueprint yet, but it's something that I'm determined will be done, and it will be done.
So beyond just again, you mentioned that exercise is medicine, isn't it? And that is in itself valuable. And so one begins to wonder, beyond just that, which in itself is $1 million, what benefit is this? What role does this play in our community? And beyond that, I mean, I may add a third part to it. Is it not self-defeating to limit it to Cameroon? Why not do something that gets veterans all around the United States?
Yeah, so good question there. So even though it is done under the umbrella of Cameroon, I can tell you that most teams have non-Cameroonians participating, including Americans. I mean, like in my team, Allen Veterans, we do have born and bred Americans who play with us. They've played some of the tournaments before. And that's the same with a lot of other teams. So it's not really restricted to Cameroonians. I would be hard pressed to find any veterans team that have purely Cameroonians. I'm not saying there's none out there, but I'll be hard pressed to find one. So, but, it's focused on, the way we Cameroonians do things, right? So we come, we find an opportunity to come out there and have fun, meet people we've not met for a long time. I saw people in Houston telling me how they've met people they've not met in 20 plus years. And if you think about it, with the 28 teams that participated in Houston during the Labor Day weekend, this 2021, Each team is made up of about 40 to maybe 100 plus membership, right? So on average, you're talking 70, 75 per team. And with 28 teams, we're talking of 2,000 strong members. And in Houston, I believe we pull a crowd of about 3,000 to 4,000 people. And when you have this, numbers, we should be able to take those numbers to our advantage and also find a way to give back to our community. And having said that, I know there are veterans teams that are already doing that today. They do a lot for their community. We have teams here in Dallas. Camdal is one of the teams. They have a veteran team and they also have a younger team, but they do a whole lot in the community here. My team, Allen veterans have been, pushing to get some of those things down to as well, giving back to the community, so to speak. So yes, it is an opportunity to come and exercise as a medicine and enhance our well-being. It's also an opportunity to come out and socialize, meet people you've not met in such a long time. And so with our population getting together, I don't think there is any Cameroonian either organization that can pull such a crowd at this point in the United States. Neither there is any that has pulled so before. I think in the days of CAMSA, the maximum number of teams that have participated, I'm not sure whether it was 16 or maybe at most it would be 20. But at the last one I saw that was high number was 16. And we're here with 28 teams at the last convention and looking forward to about 32 teams at the next convention. And it's just going to pull a lot of people together. It creates a forum for people to network and build their network, broaden their horizons, learn, and knowledge sharing will happen, and will overall enhance people's life on and off the pitch.
So great. Let's talk about the numbers.
Yeah.
Because by my estimation, I hear there are teams that spend close to $100,000 during that weekend.
Possibly.
And calculating transportation, all that, but much of it had to go into booze,
Yes.
So I'm wondering again whether this is not counterintuitive, because yes, socializing is a great part of the deal, but beyond the socializing, how are you tapping into? Because again, remember, I don't have the statistics, but we seem to have a great appetite for alcohol, and our DUI levels are going up and all that. I don't want to talk about the crimes and all that, but how are you going to call them the social ills? How would the National Veteran Tournament, USAFA, help to curb some of these things? It's impossible to have a soccer game without people taking a bottle after that. But
Right. No, that's a good question as well, because if we have this organization to enhance the well-being of our veterans, then we need to also take into account some of those activities that are pulling people back. And drinking is definitely, one of those. For example, there are clubs, that will go out there and play a game and must drink some alcohol after that. But then there are others that if you come to our practice, like the team that I belong to, there's zero alcohol. But I know there are a couple of, sessions that I've tried to approach in order to join. They said, you guys play your soccer, you drink water, you drink Gatorade. I have to stick with this other veterans team because that's my time out to go out and have fun, drink Hennessy, drink some beer, and so on and so forth. Having some beer in itself or having some alcohol in itself is not a bad thing, as long as you have it in moderation, right? We are all in this life passing. We need to make sure we are also enjoying our life. And so if you enjoy having a drink, it is absolutely important that you do socialize and have a drink. Where I have a problem will be when people start drinking to excess, where it's actually then becoming detrimental to your health. And one of the things that I'm planning to do is to, create a knowledge sharing session. And what you just mentioned about alcohol is one of the topics I had in mind, and I'm still looking for the right expert that will come and talk to MVT on that, to really educate and or share knowledge to the veterans to let them know what alcohol does to them, and give them an idea of how drinking in excess can hurt them, even though they're out there to have fun. They can have fun and still drink to a certain extent that doesn't hurt their health. So I'm looking forward to creating that forum that will allow that education and that knowledge sharing to take place. So that's one of the things that we'll do. But I can tell you it is a problem today. It doesn't affect all the clubs. It affects some, but not all. And I'm looking forward to, having a knowledge and enrichment session, to educate people about that.
Yeah, so I think that's great. And I just want to plug in because, again, most of the teams, at least for the ones that I know, have really not participated in any of these activities. But the ones that I know, they are made up of great professionals. I mean, like yourself. And I mean, outside the soccer field, these are, I know, for example, the team that won the tournament this year, what are they called? Spartan. The president is a medical doctor, isn't it? It's a surgeon.
Yes.
So,
correct.
So you have those professionals. It's kind of intriguing, and I wanted to bring this up in a different setting. But let me just put this on here. So, how are you going to use NVT to at least help solve some of the problems our Cameroonian communities are facing? Because the danger we face with a thing like NVT is we perpetuate the ills amongst us. Because again, when you leave Cameroon, you come to a place, you're looking for a place where other Cameroonians are so that you can continue enjoying the things. But when you get to a place where you are really challenged, there's no, my friends say, if you leave Cameroon and come to America, don't come to Maryland where you can stand and ask for your neighbor for salt and pepper.
That's right.
You perpetuate that, isn't it? But how are you going to, again, mirror the values of this society within the NVT in such a way that you can have a real marriage of cultures? And that's why I said, well, I'm happy to hear it's not just a typical Cameroonian thing, but how do we open that up so much so that you now contribute to the community where you are currently living, and at the same time, this community is able to contribute towards enhancing the members of your group?
Yes, and that boils down to how the teams will be operating within their different localities, right? Because we have the National Veterans Tournament, which is the umbrella organization. At the end of the day, the different veterans teams are operating within their cities and states, and they interact with the community, the local community where they are based, where they are geographically based. And it is important, which, like I alluded to before, that there are a number of teams that are reaching out to the community. And just the fact that they are open to the membership, membership coming from non-Cameroonians, there is, you get some new ideas being injected into the teams. And so it is a gradual process, because if you say you're going to come on hard on how much, people consume in terms of alcohol, or some of the ills that, the teams will be, taking part in, you're going to deter and pretty much maybe kill the organization upfront. So it's going to be a very soft approach, in my opinion. Soft approach where we will use the talents and the expertise of members who, like you said, there are medical doctors, they're talented people with the right competence, people who can speak to the importance of certain kinds of discipline, that we will bring them in and say, look, this is an educational process. We would need your help to educate the veterans that having fun is great, but let's control the magnitude or the extent to which we drink, right? So, so that's something that I think will come gradually. And, we're going to be encouraging teams to give back to their local community. And through giving back, you will receive something in return. And by also having local interactions with the international community, if I may call it that way, people from different countries, people from the United States of America, and for those in Montreal, people from Canada. When you kind of interact with them and maybe play some games against some of those teams, because besides our veteran teams, there are other veteran teams here in the United States. I mean, Ethiopians have a very powerful league as well. And so there are others. Nigerians have some as well. And here, you know, other veterans teams from Cameroon play the Nigerian veterans team. So, you know, it is something that needs to be done, and it will go through steps, and it requires that education for people to really grasp the importance of, you know, taking the best out of the culture, or the culture of the environment where we're living, where people know that, yes, you know, there are certain things that you do to enhance your good health. You can have fun, but you can have it to a certain limit as well. You don't need to, you know, drink all night long in order to, you know, really enjoy. I mean, a few drinks will still give you the satisfaction. Once you go above a certain number of drinks, it's becoming detrimental to you. And it will take that education, and it will take that education from people who speak with authority in the field in order for people to accept and follow. And that's something we need to have on our to-do list.
I'm very curious about your choice of the Labor Day weekend as the weekend for your competition. Was that just accidental, or was that on purpose? And just to plug into that then, to see, I mean, I know you have referenced a lot about the individual teams being able to take care of their members, but yes, consider yourself as a labor union, isn't it? During Labor Day weekend, I'm thinking you should have a vision about using this as a force to be able to bargain things for different communities. As, I don't know, what do you think about your members, people in your group, different teams who have immigration issues, have health issues, have educational issues? What is your vision to be able to make sure that these people who have these challenges and are members of these groups are able to attend to the needs of their members, not just as individual teams? Because you just talked about numbers, isn't it? The bigger the numbers, the better for these groups. What is your vision towards these social things that plague our community?
Yeah, so, you know, and my overall vision, just to put it out there, you know, is for NBT, right, to be an organization that provides a high quality and an enjoyable experience, right, for every veteran on and off the pitch, you know, while creating a financially sustainable organization through attracting external funding. So with that, and the mission or the purpose that, you know, I am pushing for NBT, we have to take care of our own. And, you know, we have people who are members of the National Veterans Tournament from different walks of life. You have people who are well-established, medical doctors, engineers, professors, I mean, you name it, people who are business people. And then you also have folks who are struggling in the community, struggling in various ways. And I say struggling, you know, with a little bit of reservation, because that can be very, very subjective. But people who are not, you know, if you want to define from a career perspective, are not there. So we need to be cognizant of the fact that we all are not at the same level. We all need to be able to use the organization to grow and promote and provide career enhancements for other members of the National Veterans Tournament. And I did mention about the knowledge sharing, you know, plans, which will, you know, provide an opportunity that, you know, besides knowledge sharing, the networking. I mean, you can be somebody who is struggling to find a way how to stabilize your stay. And then during the Veterans Tournament, you come across an attorney. There are a lot of attorneys that are part of this, and some of them specialize in immigration. They will be able to, you know, advise you with, you know, the love, you know, of veterans, and guide you properly to resolve your issue. And then there will be folks who are, say, trying to go back to school. And then you find a professor who is part and parcel of the National Veterans Tournament, and they can provide guidance, you know, simply because you're now connected through this one body that is trying to push us to be our brother's keeper. There are a couple of things we've added in the Constitution to stand by each other in times of certain scenario, like, you know, death. But there are other things that we need to incorporate. We need to incorporate a lot more to build and enhance our membership, build and enrich their lives, improve on their career, improved on, it could be cases where, you just want to be a businessman. And then, it could be something that can be socialized within NVT, and some seed money can be provided. I mean, I'm not saying that's what we do today, but I'm saying there are a lot of ideas. There's a lot of things we can do, because with numbers, just like you said, we have the numbers, and we have to take the numbers to our advantage. We have the numbers, we have the knowledge, we have the talents. We have it, and we need to capitalize on that and make proper use of that. And you did ask about, why we use the Labor Day weekend. To be honest, I don't know the rationale behind that. Obviously, for a convention like this, it's always good to look for a holiday weekend. And my belief, is that, at the time, that was the one weekend which has not probably been taken by a major organization that will pull people. The various alma mater, organizations, former ex-students associations, or cultural groups that have taken certain holiday weekends as their convention weekends. So you would not want to go and, take that same weekend. It will create conflicts with a lot of your members who are part and parcel of those, alma mater organizations or part of those cultural groups. So far, I believe the Labor Day weekend has been earmarked for the National Veterans Tournament. We've had to miss some of our veterans in the past who, where there were weddings taking place during that weekend. But it's slowly and surely getting to a point where people know this is a weekend where these guys are going to converge in one city, state, and just, complete the tournament. So if you want to have your friends be part and parcel of your your event, well, you better avoid scheduling it during that Labor Day weekend.
If you are just joining us, welcome on the Lambom show, and I'm on set today with Dr. Charles Yakum, who is a national president. I see that's Mr. Noma. Those are people of the, what's that their team called again? Spartan? Justus. You're right, Mister. That was the reason Labor Day was chosen. Again, same thing. Labor Day weekend gives us more days for traveling and playing soccer. So
thank you for confirming. Thank you for confirming, guys.
Right. So again, these are you get the impression that, again, cohesiveness. You mentioned that a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
Our community benefits when we have these events coming up,
yes.
And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is, you mentioned something about financial sustainability.
Yes.
That is one of the things you are looking forward to. And I'm wondering whether you have established, or NVT has any relationship with the U.S. soccer organization, the one that controls soccer in the United States, FIFA and all that. And are there any plans of going that route?
There is no links right now, but there are plans to approach that. I mean, we're going to leave no stone unturned. So we're pretty much going to exhaust, all the approaches to really create that financial sustainability. If you look today, what we have, and I think I mentioned that earlier, the winners of this trophy take home very, very small amounts of money. And I can share those numbers. The first prize is $2,000, like the champion. The runner-up gets, 1,000. And then the third place gets 500. Then you have 250 for the MVP of the tournament, and then 150 for the best goalkeeper, and finally 100 for the highest goal scorer. And that just totals what? 4,000. So, so when people play hard in this tournament to win, it's more for the bragging rights. But I also believe we need to enhance the amounts for these trophies. We need to enhance it, and we need to create that financial sustainability. And one of the things that we're planning to do is to use our numbers to our advantage to approach various organizations that we can either partner with, or we as an organization or our membership use their services, and we can get some funding from them. So it's something we're going to take advantage of. NVT is currently a 501c3 organization, meaning as a nonprofit organization, a lot of those potential sponsors will find, the desire to be able to support us and have that tax deductibility. So we are going to work on that. The links is not there today, but it is on our to-do list.
So what is the budget of NBT currently? How many $1 million do you guys have, and are you anticipating?
We don't have anything close to $1 million, I should say. In fact, the amount that we've had in the past, and again, you have to look at it this way. You're talking about a National Veterans Tournament, but you have 28 and running to 32 teams that are on there, right? Now, if I were to calculate, the budgets for the various teams, then it will add up to something enormous. But I don't have a number for that. But as far as the National Veterans Tournament, at the national level, we pretty much operate, under the value that allows us to just do, e-postcard filing for IRS each year, which basically means that, your total revenue is under 50, 60K. And that's where we sit, because each team basically registers for NVT with $200 upfront, and then $1,000 is the participation fee for each of the tournaments. And we're going to revisit a lot of these things, because one of the things I mentioned before was trying to enhance the prizes, right, for the winners. What I want to do is make sure that you don't do it you don't have something very high one year and then the next year it goes down. There needs to be a consistency. So I want to make sure that the way we attain that financial sustainability or the way that we enhance the prizes, for the winners, should be something that we can maintain consistently and only go up rather than down. But from a budgeting perspective, or from a budget standpoint, at the national level, we're dealing with numbers that are below 50, 60K. So
you give me the impression that you don't pull a paycheck at the end of every month from NVT. So that leaves me with the question: what is the motivation for wanting to be president of this organization?
Very, very good question. So, basically, NVT, if I may share, NVT, has a NEC, which is National Executive Committee, which is the supreme governing body, right, or the supreme administrative organ of the National Veterans Tournament. And that NEC, which is the National Executive Committee, have the officers, and the president is obviously, part of the NEC. And the president or the secretary general or the treasurer or any other position that they get appointed, it's you're providing your service for free. So it is something that you have to have the passion for it to want to do it. I was president of, basically I was actually an active and a founding member of my Allen Veterans Football Club here in Texas. And then I became president for 3 years, after which I stepped down. And I stepped down at that time with the intention of planning to run for the National Veterans Tournament president, national president, that is. So, and the idea here is that when you have a love for something, you have a true passion and love for something, you want to see it grow, regardless of what you get out of it in terms of monetary benefits. So for me, it is the passion to see this organization grow to a much higher level, because I have the love for the game. I'm very passionate about it. And so I want to see it get to higher heights. And I'm very, very determined, and I will spend the time that's needed to make it happen, even though I may be actually and will be spending my personal money and not getting anything from the organization. But it's something that, because of the love for the game and because of the passion that I have for it, I'm ready to do it without any payment. I look at it as, as a leader, you're out there to serve, and I want to provide my service to my community and bring this thing, to a level that people would love what they see, love what they experience, and, and I'll look back and say, this is great. So, and as a leader, you really, it's not a position where you go in to go around and they say, oh, they call you, oh, you're the national president of NBT. I look at it as I'm a servant and I'm bent on serving the people.
Great, and I appreciate that the value that you bring to it. Again, you mentioned the word passion at least 4 or 5 times throughout this short time. That passion is fed by something, isn't it? Your love for soccer, your love for the game itself, and wanting to impact the community. That's all great, but again. NBT could possibly be a $1 million company or $1 million organization, depending on how that grows. And like with everything, there are ups and downs. But I mean, at the end of your, how long is your term?
2 years, non-renewable.
Non-renewable. So at the end of the second year, I mean, what would be the checklist I should be looking forward to? What do you seek to accomplish within the next 2 years? When I come back to interview you, what the exit interview, what would that be?
Yes, so a very, very good point there. So when I was campaigning, and we obviously elevated the campaign mechanism for NVT, it never used to be the way, the standard that we set this time around with 3 candidates campaigning for the post of the president, right? So I laid out a platform, and laid out exactly what I want to achieve. And, creating that financial sustainability is a big part of that. There's no value in terms of monetary value attached to, how financially sustainable we will be. But, bottom line is that today, a lot of teams spend a lot of money to get to the National Veterans Tournament. These monies are coming out of their pockets. We can lessen that burden on the teams because we're going to work on the sponsorship piece, like I mentioned before, not only to enhance the prizes that the winners will get, but to make sure that we work with the likes of, airlines, work with car rental companies, and continue to work with hotels to make sure that great deals are available given our number to benefit the membership of NVT when we go to these tournaments. I have to give kudos to Houston Veterans Football Club or Soccer Club because they did a wonderful job with the hotels. The rates were very, 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 very moderate. And, everybody was happy with the rates that we had, and the hotels were all at close vicinity. I mean, they all had free breakfast. So that was really, really great. But we need to extend that to airlines so that teams that are flying to the tournament can get there at less financial burden to the teams. Car rental companies, they can pick cars, and it should be less of a burden to them. And then also, we will work with other organizations that will fund the NVT to ensure that what teams come and take home after competing and winning is something substantial. To be honest, I'm not going to state a number on that until I actually start getting into the details to see what is available out there. But it is a mission, and it's one of the things that we have on the list. Besides tackling and eradicating the fake ID to make sure veterans are playing, sponsorship is, in my opinion, right now, pretty much almost second. But that's my personal opinion. There is a feedback mechanism that we just recently completed right after the tournament, and that's one of the things I promised I will do. I initiated a lessons learned session and pretty much requested every single team to send 5 things that worked well in Houston or any other previous National Veterans Tournament, another 5 teams or another 5 items or 5 things that did not work well when we were in Houston, and their recommendations on what can be done to make those better. And then lastly, the third bucket was 5 things, or I should say up to 5 things that they would like to see in future tournaments. So these 3 buckets of questions is going to give me a lot of data that will help deliver on the aspirations of the veterans base. Because one thing I don't want to focus on doing is doing something that we in the National Executive Committee determine is best for NVT, right? Like you mentioned, turning it to $1 billion organization, the potential is there and we can make it happen. The question is that what the veterans base are looking for? So my approach was go out to the veterans teams, let them consult with their base, get the things that they would like to see going forward out of these 3 buckets. The things that work well and we need to keep doing, the things that did not work well and we need to change and how we need to change it, and lastly, new things that they would like to see. And I would base my success at the end of my administration on achieving what the National Veterans Base wants to see. Because you could bring that organization to $1 million organization and not achieve the various things that the various veterans want to see. And I'll call that a failure, because at the end of the day, I achieved my objective. I did not achieve the objectives of the veterans that make up the NVT. So yes, we have the list, and we are going to work in NEC to consolidate, because the deadline was September 30th. We got a lot of responses, and at least over 75% response came in, and we're going to use that as the springboard to provide what veterans would like to see. My goal is to deliver to them what they would like to see rather than what I would love to see.
That sounds great. As if you have ever been in international development, one of the drawbacks in international development is where aid partners come in to determine what the community needs, and they are wondering why they end up failing. Is precisely because they did not do the groundwork to find out what these people need. Because once they identify what they need, they will be able themselves to be able to work with you to achieve the results. And I think that's a great model. I may just put you on the spot to say, not give me 5, but just give me one of each group, or 1 or 2. I know already that you said the hotels were great with the last competition, but give me an example of something. I can tell you one thing that I've already found I'm curious about. There's no website. If I'm looking for information about NVT, I don't know where to go find that. There's a Facebook page that doesn't give enough information, but
yes, it's a work in progress. Yes,
give me just based on the feedback mechanism that you laid down. So 1 or 2 things that worked well, one or 2 that did not work. And I know what your plans. I already know the question I'm going to ask you in 2 years. So
right, yeah. So just before I go to that, we do have a website, like you said. It's nvtusa.net. But to your point, it needs a lot more work, and that will be done. But there's a good amount of information there right now. Okay. So there is a website, nvtusa.net. So just to go to the question that you asked. So just 2 things that work well, right, in Houston. I love the opening ceremony. The ceremony was opened, or the convention was opened by the Houston mayor. Our folks in Houston did very well, and that opening ceremony to me was, a good highlight. The mayor himself was a great speaker and a funny person. So it was great to have him open that occasion and recognize what we as NVT were bringing to his city. So he pretty much commented on that and the beauty of having us, host the convention in his city. So that was great. And I give kudos to the Houston Soccer Club for that. The second thing, and I mentioned that before, was the hotels. They did a great job on the hotels. And they were all within a few miles from the field. And so that helped a lot of teams to go back, get a little bit of rest and come back. And they did great deals with those hotels. All those hotels had free breakfast, and then the rates were very, very, very good. I remember when I attempted to book my room originally way back, because as soon as they put it out there, I always go to book. And then, I was going into one of the Hilton I wanted to use my Hilton Honors, and I realized with my Hilton Honors, I would get something worse than what Houston Soccer Club had arranged. So that was really great. Then the other thing is, if you see the number of restaurants vendors that were out there to sell things. I mean, you didn't need to drive out of that convention area to go and eat. Everything, you find everything there. So that was really, really, really great. Now, on the two things, the things that did not work, you asked for two. Number one, which I mentioned already, is this whole idea of fake IDs. See, I love the idea that we are attracting talents globally, right? There were teams that were almost bringing some former, players, from Europe, even from your team, Man United. One Cameroonian who used to play for Man United, he was supposed to be at the tournament, but I think they had just an issue at the airport with COVID restrictions. But I love that whole idea of attracting talents, global talents. But at the end of the day, this tournament is for veterans. This tournament is for veterans, and we need to ensure that true veterans are participating in the tournament. Not that true veterans will finance their club, finance the team to come to the tournament, and then come to the tournament and let others play while they're sitting on the sideline. So that's what we need to avoid. That's what we really need to avoid. So we need to change that, and that's one of the problems that we have. The second thing I would comment on is that the match officials, they were not good. And I know that could be, a very, very touchy topic, because bad calls will happen even in EPL, even in World Cup, and you name it.
Yeah, the bad call this morning that the referee allowed the second goal for Everton. That was called out, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, bad calls will happen, and I recognize that. But there is a difference between having a bad call or a few bad calls versus having pure incompetence of match officials, right? This is not just something I heard. I saw some of it. I even experienced some personally while I was playing. I got given a yellow card, and I just said, "Oh my good Lord," I was protecting. I had the ball. I protected my ball. The defender came on me and I protected my ball. The defender went down, not because I did anything, but because I protected my ball and I got a yellow card, for which my team will have to pay a few dollars for. But, so besides that, I saw worse calls. I mean, there is a video going around with, some of the, bad calls that happen. And you can clearly see that things were done that were incorrect. So we need to improve on the quality of the match officials to make sure that, the games are done in a very fair way. When bad calls happen and it's something that people can understand, it's human, you can understand. But if it's competent, a pure incompetence, every step of the way, that creates a very big problem. Then the last issue I may mention is that, and I think Houston may have been taken a little bit unaware, it was very, very difficult to accommodate the population that we had in most of the halls. Like the final gala that has to be, for all the teams did not have all the space that we needed. So that's something that needs to be changed, needs to be improved upon. And I could go on and on, but like you said, I named a few of them.
Yeah, so again, I think before I wrap this up, we have been on for an hour, but I think I'll be remiss if I didn't find out from you, if I didn't ask you about the crisis that is happening in Cameroon, isn't it?
Yes.
It will be an unpardonable, blunder.
Yeah.
So you have this bunch of Cameroonians, they are playing soccer, enjoying soccer, having a good time, but there's a war going on in a part of the country. And I don't want to compare that to North Cameroon. No, I want to focus on Northwest and Southwest regions.
Yes.
Is there any conversation? Are there any things that, or are you guys thinking about what to do? I mean, any contribution towards a resolution of that, getting engaged, or is just you don't want to touch that? It's a hot potato, too hot for you guys?
Yeah, so, and thank you for that question again. I think it's important for us to, always touch on things that affect the membership of the organization, right? I myself, I come from the Northwest. I come from Bambaland, to be precise, in the Northwest, region. So the crisis definitely is impacting our people. It's impacting my people. It's impacting your people. And so we cannot completely ignore it. But as an organization, we're apolitical and we're staying clear of that. So from the standpoint of the organization, we don't want to get involved with anything to do with that. If we find an opportunity where, soccer can enhance peace for our people, we would like to take advantage of it. But until such a point, we are staying clear of this because we don't want to get entangled into the politics of it.
Yeah, I get the intrigues that are related to 501c organizations in the United States and political. Yeah. The one thing that I found interesting or kind of a little bit out of the norm is organizations like yours are ones that should be able to come up with skills, build up a skill set for people to engage in within their environment, Mm-hmm. So even though you don't want to get engaged with the crisis in Cameroon, it affects you in different ways. I'm thinking the group that you are building, the group that you are now a leader of, the group that has these numbers, mm-hmm. How is it able to enhance each club to be able to make an impact in their community at the political level? This is what I mean. Ask the average member of your organization, mm-hmm. who the county leader is. Okay? Mm-hmm. Just basic community events, how engaged they are. We're mm-hmm. not.
Yeah.
Typical problem with Africans. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering whether that's, again, civic responsibility, civic education, whether that's something you're going to, encourage members, because that's one way by which you could address this. If Lambom Veterans Club or Spartan Veterans Club in Maryland, and I don't remember what the other one is, if each of them were involved in activities in the community and are able to raise this, call it Ambazonia crisis, apolitical they are, but yet they are members of a community that are suffering. I think this again is going to bring Dr. Yakum, I know the intricacy, but I think it's kind of it's a little bit washing your hands like Pilate, saying that it affects us, but we don't want to be engaged.
Yeah. No, and I think I'll say this. We have members that are heavily involved in different organizations that get involved in the crisis, right? And there is no rule stopping a member to strongly participate in an organization that pushes, a certain front in this crisis. But what we will not do at the National Veterans Tournament level is to actually encourage, to say encourage is not the right word, but try to take part or ask teams to do particular activities in order to get involved in the crisis. We will stay clear of that. Like you said, in Maryland, the three teams that participated, you had Spartan, you have Veterans Football Club of Maryland, who are the hosts, and then Spartan were the champions, then you have Lambom Veterans. Members of some of these teams may get involved in the crisis and choose what they support and what they push for. NVT is not going to say, for you to be a member of the NVT, you must do it this way or you must do it that way. We're not going to, either discourage or encourage, because we're focused on something different, and we'll let, people in their different organizations and in their different, cultural groups or alma mater decide on what to get engaged with, or even at a personal level, decide on how you get engaged and how you influence the ongoing crisis. But we're not going to take a position. We're not going to take any steps to influence any activity related to that.
So for the last two questions for you, we started off talking about Liverpool, and I'm kind of curious as to, we all love soccer at different levels, and we all support different teams for different reasons. You studied in Liverpool. I'm wondering, are you still a supporter? Liverpool is a great team.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, the thing that you find very interesting amongst us Cameroonians, Africans is right here in Maryland, in the DC area, there's DC
Yes.
United. I don't
Yes.
know anybody there. I don't even know when they play, if they ever play anything at all. But I
Yes.
can tell you when Manu is playing, who is doing what in Manu, and it seems there's a disconnect at a certain level. But tell me about Liverpool, what team you support, and how can you use the National Veterans Tournament, USA, FA, to get Africans plugged into the local leagues around and get
Yeah.
even kits, get sponsorships into these things, you know.
Yeah.
But let's start with Liverpool because I'm tempted
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
to
loaded
avoid
question.
that.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. But let me start by saying I'm a strong supporter of Liverpool. You know, like I said, I studied and lived in Liverpool for 7.5 years. I went to Liverpool when the likes of John Banks were at their peak playing. And we actually invited him to the university to come and talk to us, those of us who were playing in the university. And so my love for Liverpool goes way back. I also met my wife in Liverpool. She came from Cameroon to study in Liverpool. She comes from Kumba, from the Southwest region. We only met in Liverpool. I never knew her in Cameroon. So we met in Liverpool University. So my household is a supporter of Liverpool because, you know, that's where we studied. And regardless of how Liverpool performs, I am a diehard supporter of Liverpool. If Liverpool drops, I drop with them. So I'm not supporting Liverpool simply when they're doing well. If Liverpool goes down, I go with them. You know, I have my membership with them and I stick with it. Now, having said that, and you can tell that it's not just like, you know, a Cameroonian come out here, then go look out in Europe and pick a team. I live there, and so there is that attachment to it. I also support PWD Bamenda. I mean, I recently joined the PWD Bamenda fan club, you know, and I look forward to, you know, supporting them a lot more. You know, where did I discover that? When we went at the NVT. I met my brother from Louisiana Hurricane veterans team. And he told me about PWD Bamenda. We connected and I joined the fan club. And so, you know, we'll be looking forward to support, you know, a team that I used to love before through that channel. Now, locally, like you said, I'm living in Dallas. We have Dallas FC, right? You know, that's a team here in Dallas in the soccer, in the MLS. When I originally started watching those games, and I went to a few of their games before, but, you know, it gets to a point where you want to choose the quality of what you spend your time on. Okay, so that's where I kind of pull back a little bit and refocus back on EPL. So I'm not going to say more about that, but, you know, there is the support of a team like PWD. I don't watch them frequently, and when the opportunity will come, I'll watch them because I grew up in that environment. I love that, and I would love to support them. I grew up somewhat in Liverpool during my entire educational career, and I love to support them. Now I've lived in Dallas much more, but, you know, when FC Dallas is ready to provide me some little quality soccer, I'll be behind them.
Right. So thank you very much. And I mean, again, I think that is a great thing. I want to applaud the National Veterans Tournament. It is a the potentials are just amazing. And I am fascinated. I am very impressed by the work you are doing and your team. We wish you the best. I would want to say I'd encourage the community to check out that team. Go to the website. I misspoke before when I said that's the website, nvtusa.net.
That's
You can
correct.
learn about that, and I'm sure it'll be important for this to become one way by which we put Africa on the map in the United States in a very positive sense. I'm a newsman, so I know the stories are always negative about Africa. This is one positive, especially about Cameroon. This is one very positive spin we may have to give to the story, and I encourage you and your team to also consider doing many more media events to push that out. I love the thing you said about sponsorship. There are just too many businesses within just our Cameroonian and African communities that will be able to sponsor lots of these events. But beyond that, because you don't just want to be local, you also want to take advantage of the American society and plug into that.
Yes.
Having said that, the one thing that you did not hear you address, I think it is important for the young ones coming after us to be also, I mean, this organization should consider maybe a tournament for the young ones. And I think I see a team like Spartan. Mr. Felix Anoma's son is a wonderful soccer analyst. I had him on my show a few weeks ago. I think Sam is, if I'm not mistaken, is either 10 or 11.
He's unbelievable.
Yes.
He is on. I've watched some of his comments on our forum, and he's really great.
Right. But I think that beyond, we should be able to, because if we don't sell our own, other people are going to take advantage of. So I think that one other thing to consider is scholarships for soccer kids or people like that who have enormous talents. I don't know what your thoughts are before we run up.
No, that's a good point. We need to explore that. We need to expose. We need to sell ourselves, so to speak, and through that be able to also help our younger ones and channel and guide and promote what they do and they do best, right? So I totally agree with your recommendation there, and that's something that we're going to be, taking up as well and take advantage. I mean, just you bringing me on your platform here, I truly appreciate that. It's a great opportunity for me to talk about NVT, and hopefully it gets out there and more people who are not aware of NVT will hear about it. And one of the things that, I have a list on my screen here where I receive calls every time, and I just log in the ideas that people have been calling ever since I was elected, and throwing and I'm logging them in. To make sure I don't miss anything. Same like the feedback that's coming, I can guarantee you I'm going to read every single line of it, even though we're going to consolidate, but I'll make sure no recommendation goes unnoticed. So with that, we promote ourselves. We need to be out there and make ourselves known. And then through that, we can also use some of those young talents in play or talents in providing commentaries, and use this to propel both them and us. And so that's something that I definitely will take on. You mentioned Felix Anomas. I didn't know that was his son, but I know I've seen the name before. And there are few commentaries he's made, a few 2-3 minutes commentary on a game that I watched, and I'm like taken aback the level of detail that he was able to pick and his understanding of the game. So definitely, young folks like that are folks that we would love to really groom up and grow with us, so that as we get more visibility, he gets more visibility, and it becomes a win-win situation.
So thank you very much for this today, to dedicate an hour, 2 minutes of your time to talk about the NVT. So I'm very much obliged to you for that. I would like to, any last words before we run up? And I want to say you are always welcome here. Anytime you want, you just need to let me know. Myself, I am the one who benefits more, because I have to talk to you. You have an audience of at least 2,600 members, so you should. It's a great if we are able to plug into that. So I really want to thank you. But any last words?
No, thank you first of all for bringing me onto your platform. I really appreciate this opportunity to come up here and talk about NVT. I need many more opportunities to expose, talk about NVT, so many more people can know about who we are and what we are doing and what we want to do. So I appreciate this opportunity. And the last words are just, NVT has been doing great from inception. It has been a consistent progress. With the numbers that we have, we are very ready and very determined to take it to the next level. And there are a lot of work that needs to be done. So much work to be done. But we have the numbers, we have the talents, we have the competence, and I think we have the determination. At least from the standpoint of the National Executive Committee, we have the determination. The National Executive Committee, like I mentioned, the supreme administrative organ, we have the determination. Now, the next body, which is part of NVT, is what we call the National Advisory Board. And this consists of 2 representatives from each of the teams that are part and parcel of the National Advisory Board. And this is the board that does the decision making vote on rules, regulations, resolutions, and bylaws, and you name it. So I am asking and pleading with the National Advisory Board to take their responsibilities seriously. This National Advisory Board, like I mentioned, have two representatives from each team. It's usually the president and the secretary general, or the president of that club and the coach, or however they decide. But I'm pleading and really looking forward to them taking their engagements with NVT seriously, so that with the seriousness of the neck, we can work together and propel NVT to a super high level. And with the passion we all have, with the determination we all have, and with the love for the game that we all have, I think we will do it. And I'm counting on all of them. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you very much. NVT has numbers, it has talent, it has passion, it has determination, it has love. What else do you need? That's a whole, you have all that well packaged. And I'm appreciative of your time. I am going to determine which veterans club I'm going to become a member of.
You have a lot of choices in Maryland, but you're welcome to join Allen Veterans Football Club if you want.
I'm going to consider that, but that means I have to be flying every weekend or every week to come.
True. No, you have a lot of choices in the DMV area. So
so thank you again. Thank you very much. And again, my role as a journalist is to promote initiatives like this. I'm glad I had the opportunity. I'm grateful to Dr. Charles Yakum, the national president of the National Veterans Tournament USA FA, and to all the members who are doing their own part to make sure exercise is medicine, but beyond just that, bring an added value to this. We all flew across the ocean miles away from home. We want to create a little home here, but not just make a little home or Cameroon here. Let's leave Cameroon where it is and be able to grow within this community. So thank you all, and I'm grateful. Again, I'll be on Monday with our normal show, BK. We are dealing with African immigrant men and relationships. We are trying to, very often, we don't talk about these other things, isn't it? But that's one part that I deal with every Monday. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you next Monday.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks.